Well, I've got Tessa Clark with me, who is behind a business, co-founder and chief executive of the food sharing app OLIO. Tessa, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, good morning. Perfect time to bring you in, actually. I mean, we've got you because, congratulations, last night you became the 51st winner of the Veuve Clicquot Bold Woman Award. So, brilliant news. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, very exciting.
And, just in this conversation about running businesses, growing them, and at whatever age anybody might be. So your business, OLIO, you tackle food waste, climate change, bring together communities. That's the aim you have. You've got 7 million users worldwide, 3 million in the UK. Whereabouts would people actually see this stuff? Where in your life would somebody want to use it?
So perhaps if you've got some spare food in your home, or you're moving house or decluttering, you'll find yourself with some food or some other household items that you don't want, and you don't want to throw them away, and you want to pass them on to someone living nearby. So you just snap a photo and add them to the OLIO app. People living nearby get an alert. They can browse the listings, request what they want, and pop round and pick it up. And we also have 85,000 volunteers who collect unsold food from local businesses such as Tesco, Iceland and Pret a Manger. And those volunteers will go to the store at the end of the day. They'll take all the unsold food, take it back to their home, add it to the OLIO app. Within minutes, the neighbours are requesting it, and minutes later, they're popping round and picking it up.
And Tessa, this award you won last night, we don't have anybody from Veuve Clicquot here with us to explain, so you're going to have to give yourself the praise. What's the
very uncomfortable?
Yeah, I know. Take a breath. And so it's the Veuve Clicquot Bold Woman Award. What do you need to achieve that?
So the Veuve Clicquot Bold Awards are the longest running awards for female business leaders. They are in their 51st year this year, and they're very much inspired by Madame Clicquot, who was one of the original business pioneers. She took over her family business actually when her husband died, when he was when she was 27 years old, funnily enough. So very relevant to the piece you've just been discussing. And really the awards is sort of inspired by her and is given to female business leaders who are really trailblazing in their respective industries. I think what's very interesting about the fact that I have won it this year is that I'm really representing female entrepreneurs specifically, and also entrepreneurs who believe that businesses should be a force for good. So I'm the first founder of a B Corp business to win the award, and I think that's just a really exciting watershed moment.
Explain what that means.
So a B Corp business is a business that gives equal weight to people, to profit, and to planet. So it's not just about profit at all costs. It's about making sure that all business decisions are taken with full consideration for the impact they're going to have on the wider society and also the planet that we call our home.
And how does that function in a way that other businesses might function? To say, we speak to a whole array of people founding and running businesses on this programme. In terms of the actual running of it, I mean, it still sounds like you need to be profit driven.
You absolutely do. Yes, you need to have a sustainable business model to be able to survive and thrive, and also to be able to have the impact at the scale that we want to have. So at the moment, we have got 7 million people using OLIO. We've set ourselves an enormous goal. We want 1 billion people to be connected and sharing by 2030, making sure that the world's most precious resources are being utilised rather than wasted. And we have not only financial metrics that we really observe very closely, but also, just as importantly, our impact metrics. So we are measuring the tons of carbon dioxide that we avoid, the litres of water that we have saved, and they're just as important in terms of determining the success of the business as the traditional financial KPIs.
Can I ask you, Tessa, I don't know if you just heard us chatting a little bit before we came to you about Agathe Monpire, who's been at 28 years old, made the chief executive of a company that employs 30,000 people and has 10 billion euros a year in sales. Can somebody at that age pull that off? And how can somebody that age pull that off?
Well, I think if I heard you correctly earlier on, you were saying that she's a female leader. And I guess I would ask us whether we'd be having this conversation if she was a male leader or not. So I can't speak to her capabilities or not, but there certainly are some incredibly talented 28-year-olds out there who, if they have combined sort of humility with curiosity and with honesty and ambition, then absolutely I don't see any reason why they can't.
Do you feel like it's more common that men would be given a job like that at a younger age than a woman would?
I believe that they wouldn't get questioned about that in the way that female leaders would be.
Interesting. Russ, is that something, looking at almost like why we're talking about this in the first place, that I don't know, is there evidence across other businesses that are appointing people at the top that actually, there are more questions asked when women are in charge?
I'd like to think not, but I can see I can see exactly where Tessa's coming from. I think 28-year-old CEO in the FTSE 100, I think there'd be questions asked full stop, regardless of whether they were male or female or trans. Quite frankly, I think there would be just lots of questions asked about whether this person had sufficient experience or not. But as Tessa said, if you've got energy, integrity, and intelligence, then they will take you an awful long way.
And Tessa, for somebody who is, I don't know, maybe people listening just starting up a business themselves, they may be about to be made chief executive at 28 years old, and clearly may not have the decades of experience that some bosses do. What are those key things that, as a chief executive, you need to be looking to implement in your business?
I think the first thing that you need is a really clear vision for your business and a strong sense of mission at the heart of that. You need to be genuinely passionate about it so that you can take others along on the journey with you. And then you absolutely need to embody those qualities that I was talking about previously. You need to have ambition, humility, integrity, and also curiosity. I think that if you are early on your journey, whether in a corporate role or an entrepreneur, you need to be asking lots of questions and learning very quickly, and then applying those learnings in real life.
How are you feeling this morning, Tessa? I've just realised that you were at an awards bash that you won last night, and then sounding sprightly, yes, talking to us this morning. Well, good. Thank you so much for not sounding tired at all. And,
my very great pleasure.
I hope you get a little bit of rest this morning before cracking on. If you're the co-founder and chief executive of business, you can never put your feet up for too long. That's Tessa Clark there, chief executive of the food sharing app OLIO. Right, it is 5:27. What else we want to talk about? Oh, Russ, I wanted to ask you about, it's a story that makes the front page of the Financial Times this morning. Not a company that many people may have heard of. Are we pronouncing this one WE Soda, W-E Soda? Which way are you going with this?
I think that's what I've heard so far is WE Soda, but the W and the E apparently stand for West East.
Okay, right.
I'm told.
Yeah, so we'll go with WE Soda until somebody corrects us. Me. But reason we're talking about them. Front page splash on the Financial Times. Big news, because it's the world's largest producer of natural soda ash. Not something I'm that familiar with or remember from GCSE chemistry or anything. But the key bit here is that it looks set to be worth about $7.5 billion, says the Financial Times. It's got to choose where in the world, what stock exchange it wants to list to try and raise some money and investors into the company, as we've discussed with many other businesses before. And it's unveiled plans to choose London. We haven't heard that for a bit.
No, we haven't. I mean, and I think it's actually a Turkish company by origin, or certainly some of its operations. But the reason that the company is given is that it's an EU-facing business. It's actually, I think, UK domiciled, and the owner-founder, I think, is based in the UK. So there are reasons. But also, the company does say that, if you look at the UK stock market, it is actually has a very strong presence in industrials and in what it called extractive industries, which is mining. I think there are 6 miners, for example, in the FTSE 100. So it feels it will get that the investors in the London market understand the commodities industry, and that therefore they will get a pretty fair hearing and potentially a pretty fair price for their shares when they look to sell them. And soda ash, actually, I didn't know much about it from my O-level chemistry, but it's actually very important. It's a base chemical and feedstock for things like solar panels, for electric vehicle batteries, pharmaceuticals, glass. So it's actually an extremely important product, deceptively important, as indeed many commodities are.
And B&M, a high street retailer, Russ, it had its results out to let us know how it's been getting on, how much we've been spending there, and its share price ended up 7% or so yesterday. So what does that tell us about how we're shopping bargain-wise at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, that took the shares to a year high, and I think what particularly got the market excited was that Alejandro Russo, the CEO, the new CEO, flagged a strong start to 2024 fiscal to the next March, and that there'll be increased profits next year because the profits actually fell in the year that's just been closed, 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 fell in the year that's just been closed.